Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, and today we have episode 12 of Real Talk for Lightworkers. And today we are going to be talking about how to shield your energy from other people, or how to shield yourself from the negative energy of other people. Alright, so being someone who is energetically sensitive, you have probably noticed that for your entire life, or for at least a significant period of your life, that when you are around somebody who's in a negative place, right? Or when you get into a crowd, or when you go out into public and are just kind of like around other people, or, you know, even just around family members or people that you love that are maybe in a down or depressed state, that you feel like you pick up on that negative energy, right? That you feel that, you know, when you're kind of alone and by yourself, you can feel a specific way, and you can kind of feel a resonance with yourself, and you can feel good inside of yourself, and you feel like your frequency, your vibration is high. And then, like I said, as soon as you go out into public or spend time with someone who's maybe not doing the work that you're doing, or such, blah, 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 right? That you feel like you are brought down, and that you pick up on the negative energy around you, and this has a negative effect on you. And this can be really disconcerting, especially when it starts to feel like you can't go out, or you can't go to work, or you can't go to specific places, and you can't be with specific people because the energy is just too overwhelming for you. Like, you just go naturally into this negative place and you can't seem to dig yourself out, right? And for a long time in the spirituality world, right, we have been taught that what is happening is that because we are energetically sensitive beings, because we are more attuned to the collective nature of reality versus being completely kind of self-focused, that when we get around people who are in a place that's different than where we are, that we kind of take on their negative stuff, that we become kind of like a vibrational match to this negative energy, and that it then disrupts our own energy field. And we've been taught that there are specific things that you can do to block yourself off from absorbing that negative energy around you. Now, I don't know if this has been true for you, but the thing that's been true for me is that I've been taught many techniques over my lifetime of how to shield my energy. And so, like, you know, they've ranged from visualizing myself in a bubble that has a mirror on the outside, so anything that's negative just reflects back to the person and doesn't get onto me, to, you know, setting an intention that I'm just going to keep in my own vibration and not whatever, to all of these things, and none of them have ever worked, okay? That I have still been energetically brought down by being around people who are in a negative space, right? I definitely have been one of these people that could, you know, like, it's funny, a story that I tell is, like, when we used to live in San Francisco, my partner and I would always go on the weekends down to the Mission District, and you essentially, right, from where we were living to where the Mission District was, we kind of had to pass through all of San Francisco. We'd walk all the way through downtown, walk all the way through kind of like the more impoverished neighborhoods of San Francisco, the Tenderloin and all this stuff. And after about 3 hours of being out in this kind of environment, I would literally be like, I would just get to this place where I would, like, kind of shut down. Like, literally, that's all I could really describe it as. Like, I just felt like I was kind of like closing in on myself, and just the energy, the overwhelming energy of the city and all of the people and everything that was going on, like being on buses and doing all these things, was just so overwhelming for me that we would, like, have to go home after like 4 hours because I couldn't do it anymore. And I was given, like I said, I was given several techniques for how to, like, shield my energy and block myself and all this stuff, and it never ever did anything. And so I've been doing a lot of investigation into this over the last several years, and saying, like, okay, so what's the truth here? Like, what's really going on? And how do we actually navigate this energetic playing field where we know that we're absolutely going to be in contact with people who are not in a high vibration? We know we're going to be in contact with people who are not in a good place, and short of becoming a complete recluse, right? We have to be able to live in the world. We have to be able to be here, and we have to be able to kind of exist without getting completely destroyed by the energy of the people around us, right? And as I said, I think for most of us, we've realized that these shielding techniques don't work. And so what is the deal here, right? What do we actually do? How do we actually protect ourselves? How do we actually keep in a good place? And how do we live in this world where we know that not everyone's going to be in a high vibration, not everyone's going to be on an enlightenment journey, not everyone is waking up, not everyone is shifting their energy, and we're going to have to be around them, right? Like, we share this planet with these people, and this is how it is for now. So what do we do? Okay, so the first thing we need to understand, all right, is that every single one of us, every single being on the planet, is, again, a representation of a specific fractal of source frequency. We are all a part of the whole, right? So we all absolutely have access to the consciousness in which we realize ourselves as all of it, right? Where we step outside the individual source, frequency that we carry, and we realize that no, we are actually all of it. So that's absolutely a truth, and that's absolutely available. And at the same time, we all have a relative truth of who we are as a representation of this specific fractal of God in this lifetime. All right? So each one of us has that specific vibration, right? And we know that when we are living in alignment with that vibration, when we are living in alignment with who we truly are, when we are accepting and loving all of ourselves, everything that we are, everything that we represent as God, right? Which is everything, all of your emotions, all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your experiences, we feel good. All right? So the first thing to understand is that positive energy and negative energy doesn't actually exist. So this is the first reason why shielding yourself from negative energy has never worked for you, because negative energy doesn't exist. All right? The only two choices available to us are being in alignment with love frequency. All right? Which, by definition, okay, a part of what being in alignment with love frequency is being in a state of loving acceptance. All right? So when we are saying we are in alignment with love, that doesn't necessarily mean we are smiley and happy and bubbly and in this place of like, yay, everything is great. All right? What we are doing is we are saying that whatever is arising right now, I am allowing for it. So if I am sad right now, I am making room for the human experience of sadness. If I am depressed right now, I am making room for the human experience of depression. I am not resisting my life, right? I am in a state of allowance, right? So we understand that the only thing that causes us suffering in this life is resistance, meaning you are sitting there saying that what is happening should not be happening, or what is not happening should be happening. That is what causes suffering. It's not negative emotion. It's not any particular experience. It's your level of, it's your way of interacting with the thing that's making you feel good or bad. All right? So this is what we're saying when we say we are either in a state of fear or a state of love, right? When we are in a state of love, we are in a state of allowing, generally speaking. When we are in a state of fear, we are in a state of saying, something has gone wrong, this is not how it should be. All right? So that, I want you to understand, is what you are picking up on when you feel terrible around somebody. All right? You are picking up on their resistance to their reality, their resistance to themselves, their resistance to their source frequency and the circumstances that is their life and the suffering that they are in because of that, right? And so that is the first thing to understand, right? There is no positive and there is no negative energy. There is only a state of allowing for what is, or a state of resistance to what is. And a state of allowing feels good, and a state of resistance feels bad. Because when we are in a state of allowing, we are absorbing information, we are learning, we are growing, we are expanding. When we are in resistance, we are stagnant, and that's what feels bad. All right? So we cannot protect ourselves from negative energy that doesn't exist. When we feel bad around somebody, we are picking up on their resistance to life. All right? So that's the first thing. All right? So now, why would that make us feel bad? Right? Why would that make us as light workers feel like something is bad and wrong and negative and it would take our vibration down? Okay. So the second thing we need to understand is that in order to be in an interaction with somebody, right? In order to be in the same, to occupy the same space with specific people, we need to have a frequency match between the two people, or between all the people, right? So the second thing to understand is that when you are interacting with somebody, or when you are in a crowd, when you are going out and you are being with other beings, there is a frequency adjustment that happens to everyone that creates a kind of harmonic frequency that we all exist in, all right? And if that harmonic frequency is not created, we pop out of each other's realities. All right, so this is what I want. This is an interesting thing that I want you to just kind of consider and think about. All right, so when we come into a group and we're having a conversation, say, and you kind of feel in the beginning, right? Like in the beginning of that conversation, unless you're really used to being with this person, there's a kind of like adjustment that happens, right? So you're kind of where you are, they're where they are, and you're coming together in these two different places usually, right? And then there's this kind of like wobbly adjustment period, and then you kind of feel like the energies balance out, and then you're connected with this person, vibrationally speaking, there's a resonance, right? In order to continue a conversation, in order to have an interaction last longer than like 2 or 3 minutes, we need to have a vibrational match, a frequency exchange where we come into each other's frequency, right? And so what this means is that we have a choice to either stay in our frequency, right? And then have the other person that we're around come match our frequency. So we're all now vibrating up here where I am, or where you are, right? Or we can come down to where that person is, if that person is below us, or we can go up to where that person is, if that person is above us, right? We can match the frequency of the person that we're interacting with, and they can hold their frequency, right? Or we can stay in a disharmonic frequency, and at that point, we will pop out of each other's lives. Like the conversation will become too uncomfortable, right? The interaction will become too uncomfortable. It will literally fry itself out, okay? So I want you to consider, have you ever had that experience where it's almost like you were talking to someone and you didn't go to where they were, or they couldn't come to where you were, or some other kind of combination of this, and you felt like there was this harmonic dissonance that was happening in the relationship and in the conversation, to the point where literally you kind of just like couldn't keep talking, right? The interaction couldn't keep going, or the interaction just suddenly stopped, right? Have you had that experience? That is usually because the frequency that you were holding and the frequency that they were holding didn't come together, right? And so when that happens, we pop out of each other's realities. So when we're in like a group situation, like on a bus, right? So that's kind of more specifically speaking to when we're like one-on-one with someone, right? We're going to either go to where they are, they're going to come to where we are, or we're going to kind of find some middle ground, right? Like there's always that option where we kind of sort of meet each other in the middle. So you might come down a little, they might come up a little, or vice versa to meet each other, or the interaction will have to stop, right? You will pop out of each other's realities. And then when we're in a crowd, right? When we're in a group, where you need to understand that we are creating a collective vibration, right? When we are in a large group, like for say on the bus, there is a harmonic frequency that's having to happen. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why being in a large crowd, especially like on a bus, or like when you're not like, it's not like a group that you have decided to come to because you all have a similar interest or a similar thing that you're doing, right? But, you know, the bus is kind of like we're all just like a whole bunch of random people all at completely random different places coming together on the bus to go to where we're going. That is one of the reasons why those kinds of situations tend to feel so uncomfortable, because there's so much frequency dissonance between everyone on the bus, and people aren't going to like come to each other. So if you're an especially energetically sensitive person, you're going to feel like, holy smokes, like this just feels completely disharmonic because there's so much frequency. It's like, it would be like listening to like 14 different radio stations all at once, right? Like if you were listening to that many songs all at once, it's just going to feel like noise, right? Like just a lot of noise. And so this is really what you're experiencing when you feel like you're picking up on or absorbing negative energy of someone around you. You are essentially saying, I am not going to hold my frequency, okay? In order to keep this interaction going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring myself down. I'm going to bring my frequency down to where this person is, and I'm going to live in their frequency. I'm going to match their frequency in order so that we can have this interaction, all right? That's what's happening when you feel like you pick up on negative energy of other people. You are choosing not to hold your frequency, and you are choosing to come down to where their frequency is. Okay, so now, as I said, we all take on this false belief, these false beliefs about ourselves, this rejection of self, this rejection of reality, and that is what makes us feel bad, right? So when we are taking on someone's negative vibration, we are coming down into their level of resistance. That is basically what's happening. We are coming down into their level of resistance of who they are. We are coming down to their level of resistance usually of who we are. And we are coming down to their level of resistance of life. And that is what feels bad. All right? So what we need to understand is that if we want to be able to be around people who are in a completely different frequency than us, and we want to be able to go out in public and feel good, and we want to be able to have interactions, the first thing that we're going to have to understand, okay, is that as light workers, many of us have this empathic feeling that if I don't go down to where this person is, I'm abandoning them, right? That if I don't go and rescue them from their thing, if I don't go and like be where they are, and this might not be conscious for you, so just really pay attention to yourself. If you are one of these people who knows that you pick up on the negative energy of people around you, what you're doing is that you are saying, I'm not going to hold my high vibration because I don't want to isolate this person. I don't want to feel disconnected from this person. I don't want to feel that love is going away because we are not connected. I would rather come down to where they are, which is in a resistant vibration, right? So that we can be connected, than to stay in my high vibration and have that person not be able to be in my reality. Okay? That's usually what's happening. So, and we do that because, again, we think that in order to get love, right? So this is something that I want you to look at, that in order to get love, we need to rescue people. As light workers, almost all of us have this idea that if we stay in our high vibration, right, that we're going to isolate ourselves, that we're going to, right, if you're staying in your positive place and you go to around a bunch of people who are not in that place and you can't match them, right, you literally can't have that conversation with them, you know that you're going to be rejected. And that is going to be hard for you. So this is the first step in how to protect yourself. Number one is learn how to be okay when you bop out of people's realities, right? If you really want to feel good all the time, all you have to do is stay in your allowing vibration. All you have to do is stay in your energy. All you have to do is say, I know where my frequency is. I can definitely perceive where everyone else's frequency is, and I'm going to choose to stay up in mine, right? And if that means that I can't interact with this person because they can't meet me where I'm at, that's okay. I still love myself. I'm still worthy. I'm not here to save everybody. I'm here simply to demonstrate my vibration, okay? And I want you to understand, too, that as you hold your frequency, even if that means people bounce out of your reality and feel rejected by you and feel like you're not being compassionate and blame you for all these things, right? Like, people are going to get upset with you for not coming down to their vibration, and that's a part of the reason why we go down there, right? It's because they're going to be like, you're not being compassionate, you're not connecting with me, like, you get blamed and all of this stuff. So you need to be able to hold that level of self-love that says, no, really, when I hold my vibration, and I stay in my joy, and I stay in my peace, and I stay in my level of allowing, even if I'm sad, even if I'm whatever, but I'm allowing that. I'm not going to this resistant vibration where you are. You are demonstrating that for them. And then they get to make the choice whether they're going to do that or not. So what I want you to understand, too, is that it's actually going to feel better for you to be around somebody who's completely depressed, but in a state of allowing that depression, and being open to it and saying, I'm open to learning what I have to learn from this depression, then you are going to feel being around someone who's manically acting happy and acting good and acting like they're in a positive place when they're really not, right? And you felt that. It actually feels more comfortable to be with someone who's genuinely owning where they are than it does to be around someone who's rejecting where they are. And that proves to you that this is what this is, okay? So the overall theme is, you need to learn to love yourself enough to stay in your vibration. You need to learn to love yourself enough to say, I'm not going to go down there. And it's the most compassionate thing I can do for myself and for everyone to stay in allowing, right? So we allow other people to be where they are. We don't judge them. We don't say, you have to come up to me. We don't do any of that stuff. We stay in an allowing state. And sometimes just allowing people to be where they are and not going down to that yourself is a healing thing that you can do for other people. So they will either stay or go. But you need to learn to love yourself to stay Love yourself enough to stay in your own vibration. Okay? Love yourself enough to not go down there anymore. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down below. Like, subscribe, share. Understand that you are here to discover who you are and to express that no matter what. That's what's going to feel good to you. All right? See you later.